Minnesota Timberwolves have acquired Rudy Gobert during this offseason, and there have been some people that think this is a terrible move and others that think this is a good move. The Wolves team has now upgraded that defense with adding in Gobert, and it allows Cat to be able to step out the paint and space the floor even more. D'Lo and Anthony Edwards will benefit greatly from this trade as well, as long as they excel in certain areas on the floor that we will touch on throughout the video. Now, with the front court with two bigs, there can be some problems that can exist, such as small lineups, hybrid bigs that can exploit slower bigs, and lack of floor spacing on the offensive side of the ball. But there are also examples of times when it worked, such as Tim Duncan and David Robinson, Paul Gasol and Andrew Bynum, and Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Now, not saying that Towns and Gobert will be better than or worse than any of these players mentioned, but it does show some hopes of this being a beneficial trade for the Wolves. Inserting a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in Gobert into this lineup will help anchor this team, and he can possibly be a key missing piece. In this past season, Gobert gained his 6th NBA All-Defensive team, led the league in rebounds at 14.7 a game, tallied in 2 blocks a game, landing him 3rd in the league. These exact aspects of his game will immediately add value to the Wolves. Being able to float around the paint like this and react quick to help on the slips, stay up straight and vertical when guards are driving to the basket instead of bodying up with them causing fouls, and then staying patient when down low against the bigs and making his presence felt. Gobert brings a certain type of rim protection and intimidation factor to the team that they didn't really have before with Karl Athony Towns. Putting an actual 7-footer with high IQ around the rim defensively will help when the guards get beat off the dribble or if the defense altogether has collapses. The Jazz were ranked 8th in opponents' points in the paint at 44.7 a game, and as you can see, the Wolves weren't far behind them, right outside the top 10 at 46.3 a game for the 11th spot in 2022. So shifting Gobert over to the Wolves along with his contribution to the defense will more than likely put them in that top 10 area, and in turn improving them defensively all around. Having Gobert down there with Towns will be a wall of force in the inside and will take a lot of the load off Towns' back. Shifting over to the forward position rather than playing center will help with better matchups for Towns on both ends. There were times when Cat struggled with the one-on-one defensive situations, and now that role of defending the interior force of the opposing team won't be his main job, as Gobert will be able to slide in and handle that task. Now, instead of exerting so much energy on the defensive end, he can conserve some of that energy and put it towards the offensive side. Already being a floor spacer, hitting 41% of his 5 3-point attempts per game, now with Towns not having to be the main paint presence on the offensive side, he can step out and shoot the ball more and even create on the outside. If Towns can get up to 6 3-point attempts per game or maybe even 7 and hold the same percentage, things could get really scary. You may be thinking, well, that's a lot of game. In the 2020-21 season, Towns put up 6 3-point attempts a game on 38% shooting. Granted, it was through 50 games, but that's a large enough sample size to see that Cat is capable of shooting it effectively at that volume. Although DeAngelo Russell might not have had such a great playoff run where he averaged 12 points, 6.7 assists, and 2.5 rebounds on poor shooting splits, he is still a great playmaker with good vision on the court. Needing to have a strong season this coming up year, having a bigger body in Gobert, who has the most screen assists in the last 6 years, says enough on how much this will help D'Lo. Being able to use a great pick and roll guy in Gobert, and with Cat pulling the other big out the paint, D'Lo will have plenty of options on the offensive side to dish it to whoever. Russell is best with a lob threat, and last year Towns and Naz Reid, who were the most used in pick and roll men on the Wolves team, only completed 5 lobs combined all season. This alone is detrimental to D'Lo, as he is used to having a big man who he can throw the ball up to and they can just go get it, so not having that sets D'Lo back even more. Gobert alone last season completed 95 lob dunks, which is far more than what the Wolves produced last season, so this immediately will help him out. D'Lo plays at a slower pace and is very patient on the offensive end simply because he isn't the most athletic guy, so we must rely on his craftiness and his finesse. Rudy's screening power will help Russell excel more off the ball as well, letting him come off screens to catch and shoot. If we look at his last season with the Wolves, Russell shot 34.4% off the catch and shoot, and in his 2020-21 season and the stint with the Warriors, D'Lo shot 39.1% both years. So obviously he had a down year in shooting, but in the past you can see he is capable of working off ball and he can get comfortable in that role, especially with Anthony Edwards being able to handle the ball at times. Now speaking of Anthony Edwards, picture Ant coming up the floor, receiving the screen from Cat at the top of the key. The defender can't help off because Cat is a 3-point shooter, and now Ant is coming downhill with a head of steam. He sees Gobert point up and he throws the lob. Now that you've pictured it, well, that's exactly what the Wolves would want from Ant with his playmaking. Giving up Pat Bev and Malik Beasley, the Wolves are betting on Edwards to be one of the main leaders on this team. Near 40% of shots for Edwards' career come at the rim, and he almost takes 10 shots per game from less than 10 feet, converting those at 56.9%. So we can see that Edwards can be a threat at the rim along with facilitating, since the ball will be in his hands much more. In the playoff series versus the Grizzlies, Edwards stopped turning the ball over as much and upped his screen and roll ISO plays, and the efficiency was much better for him, showing he can be a high volume scorer and shooter, as he put up almost 10 threes a game and made them at a 40% rate. The Wolves were 2.3 points better per 100 possession when Anthony was on the court last season, so hopefully with the upgraded role on the team to lead more, he can increase his value even more on this team. Getting better at decision making on the pick and rolls, such as dump off passes, threading the needle, and creating his own shots off screens. Having the tough competitive energy with this 7-foot wingspan, Edwards can really step it up and become a great defender, especially with Rudy Gobert on the back end helping him out. This Wolves team was already a competitive and great up-and-coming team, and adding in Gobert will help them even more. Do you think that the Timberwolves will be contenders in the near future, like in the next 2 to 3 years, or do you think this was not such a good move? If you enjoyed this video, take a look at this Anthony Edwards playoff analysis video that I did so you can get a better look at his game during that time. Or go catch up with the Warriors' new draft pick, Inky Santos, and you can really see what type of gem they got in the draft. Thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.